play a fun little game of PGA Tour High or Low. So are the following golfers' odds too high or too long, and too low, which is too short, for this week's Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas? Let's start with Rory McIlroy, plus 700. What do you think, Fowler?
I mean, he's the lowest on the board, so you can't get much lower than this. And look, I mean, I think a lot of about Rory is going to go on seeing him with the ripped shirt after the DP World Championship in Dubai, right? And this guy's extremely competitive. I actually like him, and I think Geoff does as well. If you look at both of our articles, because he sets up well, right? As sixth there, he won previous to the DP World Championship. And even though this is his first time here at the tournament, we see guys like Jon Rahm win. I don't think that you need course history here to do well, although it's going to help. I don't think you need that. And Rory can hit it a mile off the tee. He needs to putt well, and you need to have a decent short game. And when Rory has won, when we've seen him win, those things are all firing. So I do like him. Of course, it's the shortest, so it could be longer. But, I mean, Collin Morikawa is there at plus 750, so I think it's perfect where it is.
Yeah, he's the favorite right now, Mr. Ulrich. Do you think these are fine, right where they are, plus 700 for Rory?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it is fine. I think a lot of people might look at it and why is he favored over Morikawa, who beat him last week? But, I mean, Rory is a classic links player. Reid mentioned the venue. I mean, this is not an overly difficult setup. And when you think of, players who can go low in these limited field events, I mean, Rory, he always comes up to the top of the list. He's kind of made a living off of, winning events like this, right? So he's been really motivated since the Ryder Cup, too. I mean, his game is in top form. When those scoring clubs get going for Rory, he's always consistent off the tee. So, I mean, he's just going to be a threat. I think it's a very good setup for him. I would prefer him over Morikawa, even though Morikawa is at bigger odds this week. Realistically, this is a small event. There's a lot of elite players. You don't have to bet the top of the board, but like it would shock me in no fashion to see Rory step up, win Tiger's event here, and just cap off a nice end to the year, because he seems very motivated right now. Maybe that'll come through more at the majors, but I think he's the deserving favorite. As Reid said, he really can't get any lower, but I don't really think you can expect him to be much higher given how he's played in the fall. So
yeah, after Rory, you got Collin Morikawa, who both of you have mentioned at plus 750, but then there's Justin Thomas at plus 900. So Fowler, are those too long or too short?
I mean, think about JT. Like his past performances are solid, right? A third, I believe, at where was it, Mayakoba, the last time he was out, or I forget if it was the RS or Mayakoba, but he's playing well, and we talk about it, and so I do think these could be lower. I wouldn't mind, honestly, Geoff, if he and Collin Morikawa were closer in odds. Even though Morikawa, we see that he's probably the hottest golfer right now on tour with what he's done. The first American to win the race at Dubai Championship. So I wouldn't mind JT being this low, and especially like Geoff talked about with Rory. I mean, who's closer in this field? And this makes sense, right? This does matter. Who's closer in this field than JT to Tiger, right? Like after all that's been happening with Tiger, seeing that press conference, seeing how much it shook the entire golf world, but especially JT, like that, I could definitely see him coming out and win this. So while I like Rory better, I think this is a little too high. I think this could be shorter. I think it could be closer to Morikawa.
Yeah, Geoff, it's kind of bizarre. A guy who claims like the Players' Championship, we're talking about it and people are calling it a disappointing year, but he's been pretty hot recently. So do you think these should actually be shorter?
I mean, it's pretty hard for me to sit here and say they should be longer, right? Because, I mean, there's good players in this field, but there's definitely a gap between the top three, in my opinion, and the next guys. So, yeah, I mean, if anything, like they probably should be shorter. Reid mentioned he was third the last time out at the the Mayakoba Classic, the old OHL Classic. But, I mean, Justin Thomas, like Rory, I mean, look at where he's gotten most of his non-nature wins. It's like this CIMB Classic at these events where tropical venues, the Sony Open, where players go 20, 22 under. I mean, this is not going to be a tough setup for Justin Thomas. It's just, you look at Rory and Morikawa, clearly those guys have been a little bit sharper over the last little bit. They both picked up wins. So I think Justin Thomas is probably right there in the odds, but Reid's right. Like, this is a small event. So, I mean, even plus 900, we could say, well, you should probably be plus 800 or plus 850. I think, of the top three, there's a pretty good argument. You just say, well, just bet Justin Thomas. He's got the biggest odds. I couldn't really make an argument against that. It's just, I think clearly Rory's been a little bit sharper of late. So realistically, yeah, I would prefer Thomas and Rory over Morikawa this week. Even though, I mean, these are just like I said, these three are really close in terms of talent right now.
Geoff, would you bet Bryson? He just got smoked in the match. Would you bet him at plus 1,400? So this is going to be his first tournament appearance since the Tour Championship back in September.
So again, I mean, I think that if you're not betting, like if you're coming in here and you just want one guy and you want a little bit bigger odds, I actually really like this setup for Bryson too. I mean, all these guys are close with Tiger. Like Bryson's close with Tiger too, right? So it's not like he's coming here without, a little, like he's not going to just come here and shoot try and shoot 10 under and just have a good time. Like I think out of respect for Tiger, Bryson is coming in to probably try and win this tournament. Now, he hasn't been that good, and there's the low sentiment of the match. But look, his odds were at plus 1,200 earlier in the week. He's drifted. He's double the odds of the top players. We know Bryson is certainly capable of taking down an event with elite players in it. He's another player who, again, he's played well at Hilton Head. He's not going to have a trouble with like a linksy, open-winded setup. I think this is fine for Bryson. And if you look at the advanced stats too, he still leads his field in long-term birdie or better percentage. If we're expecting a shootout here, I mean, why is the guy who's, leading the tour in those stats plus 1,400, double the odds of the favorite? I think Bryson is where I would attack in this range for sure. Seeing him up there at the same odds with Sam Burns, almost the same odds as Finau. Whenever you get Bryson with those guys, that's typically when you need to bet him.
Is that Finau slander that I hear
coming
from you?
Sounds like
Reid's birthday nonetheless. Sorry, Reid. I have to do it. So.
Reid, there are 5 par 5s on this course as well. I mean, he could take advantage of that big time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not entirely wrong with Bryson, right? Like anybody, there's 20 guys in the field. When you only have to beat 19 other players, Henrik Stenson can win like he did last time out. Right, that's what you can get. So attacking these guys deeper on the board is definitely the way to go. I still think this is a little too short for him, a little too low, because of what we've seen from Bryson. It's just like, and in the 2 times that he's been out here, what is it, 12th and 15th, hasn't been great, and he started off really slow. And you need a fast start. Well, at least not a fast start, but you need a decent one. And we've seen Bryson kind of get off the slow starts in this. In this tournament. I'd rather go to my guy Tony Finau at plus 14, plus 1,600, wherever he is. He's finished 2nd and 10th here, in the past 2 times he's been here. And again, he's a guy too, right? You're getting a little bit deeper odds. And even if it's only 2 points, you're getting deeper odds on a guy who's probably right now, because Finau has played an actual tournament, in the last 3 weeks, and not some giggle fest that he did, that he got smoked by Brooks, who's twice his odds. I'd just rather bet someone like Finau, who might be in a little bit more form. Not saying that he's necessarily better than Bryson, but I just rather bet guys who have played a little bit better golf recently.
I got one more question for you guys here. Tiger Woods, we mentioned it at the top of this segment, discussing his golf future in his first in-depth interview with Golf Digest since his near-fatal car accident, earlier this year. He did have that press conference this morning, said he's lucky to be alive. He talked about his potential return, too, to golf, saying never full-time ever again, but instead, he'll pick and choose some events. Right now in the DK Sportsbook, you can bet Tiger to win the 2022 Masters 5 months from now at plus 3,500. I don't know if that's too soon or not. Reid, what do you think about the odds? What do you think about his comments? A lot to unpack here over the past 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jason Sobel, friend of the show, he put it perfectly. He said, why, we should never have doubted Tiger when he said, I'm going to make a comeback, and he won that Masters. And look, his odds when he won in 2019 were at plus 1,600 or around there, depending on where you got it. And that now you're seeing at twice the odds. I take a look at what Tiger said, and Tiger has so much self-belief, even if you don't believe, even if he doesn't say it, he's got so much self-belief that when you hear him say, look, I'm not going to be the same. I'm just trying to get to a point where I can be part of the game and pick and choose these tournaments. Of course, the Masters is going to be one of them, but this is not the same, type of golf that our grandpappies and our grandparents have watched. Yeah. These guys are really good. You can't do the Ben Hogan, who was 10 years younger or about there when he did his whole thing, right, with his car accident. So I'm just happy that he's fine, that he's come to grips with it. At plus 3,500, I wouldn't be touching that at all. The guy's barely getting, a 3/4 wedge in, and putting it on Twitter. You never doubt the man when he's saying he's going to come back. You can't doubt the man too either when he's saying that it's probably not going to be the same.
Yeah, I think he said this morning too, right? He can't really pinpoint on a calendar like when he is going to be back. There is a long road ahead. 5 months does seem wicked too soon. Geoff, what about you, dude? Because he seemed at peace, which was nice. He seemed happy here. I just don't know if chasing odds like this for the Masters in April is a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, and like, do you want to back happy Tiger? I mean, you want like determined, focused Tiger, right? I mean, like, it's too soon. It's like, please don't. Plus 3,500 should be plus 35,000. Like, it's just too soon, man. I mean, I do think Tiger will have one more run in him, but like, let's give the guy a little bit of leeway here, get him back into his body and have some practice time. Just get him in a couple. Like, you want to see him at least play one event. Like you said, he doesn't even have a time. He doesn't even set a return date. So, realistically, he may not even start this event, or he could be coming in and just play like ceremonial, and this could be his first event. That's probably not going to happen. So I think Tiger Woods has a path to doing something like Phil Mickelson did, but like he's got to get back in shape first. Maybe 2023. We'll be talking about this in a more positive light.